now that our business is done at the Driftvale City Gym, let's head outside to meet up with Hugh and Clay. Hugh, who presumably was the last challenger to Clay before I came into that gym. But, you know what? Screw what I was about to say. I was about to say that, Hugh was talking about something else than that damn purloin for a change, but of course he had to ruin it! Way to go, Clay! One of the most poorly written characters in all of Pokémon. So, Hugh is interested in the reason why Clay has forgiven the old Team Plasma, not necessarily the new one, but the old one at the very least. And, hold on a second there. Is a redneck giving Hugh a lecture on opening yourself up to new ideas? Really? Everything that's been said about Unova being based on the United States of America? Well, fuck that, because a redneck being open to new ideas, that would never happen in the America I know. Anyway, the Pokemon World Tournament is now open, and Clay suggested that we go there. But before I do that, I just want to head back to the Join Avenue and get a few more points in, because there's no telling where this recording session is going to end, and I don't want to take any chances. Okay, now that this is done, we can head on over to the Pokemon World Tournament. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything over these last few minutes. Of course, my Join Avenue leveled up to 11, but it's really nothing all that special that you need to see. So, of course, Pokemon World Tournament, the name is a bit too long for the name tags in this game, so it's just been abbreviated to PWT. Now, of course, I've taken a liking to calling it the Pokemon Fanservice Tournament because, well, the fact that you can run into all the old gym leaders and the champions and all that stuff, well, it's gratuitous fan service. I'm sorry, but there's nothing that's going to convince me otherwise. Of course, it's sort of a nice thing to run into those familiar faces instead of bland random trainers, but still, I think we can all agree that there's still a degree of fan service in there. Now, that worker there was blocking the way to the other entrance of the Relic Passage, which connects Driftvale and Castelia. But we can't go down there to get and collect our Volcarona. We're going to need to progress the story a little more if we want to get in there. This guy is the move relearner who was relocated from Mr. Alton City to this place. So as you can see, lots of moves that Excadrill can relearn, but of course, there's a damn good reason why I'm sticking with these moves that I got right now. So I'm not going to bother yet. I am going to come back here to teach Volcarona Ember once I get it, but whatever. This individual here can tell you which type of hidden power that your Pokemon has if you teach it to it. So let's see what kind of hidden power Lilligant would have. Dragon. Not so bad, considering that it's got pretty good neutral coverage, but still, there are better types. This one is the Move Deleter, also relocated from Mr. Alton. The Move Deleter is mostly for deleting HMs. I don't really know if there is any practical use to deleting a move that's not an HM instead of just overriding it, since, well, you still can't override HMs, of course. But nonetheless, this guy's here if you ever need any moves to be deleted. And, I wanted to stay outside a little more and talk to the remainder of the NPCs, but yeah, let's humor Clay and Hugh and gawk at this building. Yeah, pretty building, considering what was there before. This was the location, as I said before, of the cold storage in the first game. So, pretty big change in 2 years, wouldn't you agree? And Sharon is here as well, on top of that. So, Clay is going to have us participate in the Driftvale tournament, which is pretty much the most basic tournament there is. You run not into established characters, but random trainers, and your levels are brought back down to 25. And Sharon said that he had something else to do in the area, but unfortunately, Clay got him suckered into participating in this tournament. But we're gonna see what Sharon is after in a moment. Well, after we participate in the tournament, at least. And here Sharon claims that Clay never changed, but neither did Sharon, although he seemed to have gotten rid of his "what a bother" signature line. Which is still way cooler, for the record, than I am never going to forgive Team Plasma. So, now that these two are gone, I'm going to head back outside and talk to the remaining NPCs for a bit, just to mention that I would like to come back on the subject of Mega Evolutions and everything else that was in Korokoro eventually, but that's probably going to have to wait until after I catch Volcarona, because the next two videos are going to be pretty story-heavy. Anyway, in this area, there are two move tutors which will teach any starter from any region. One of them is going to teach them the elemental hyper beams, blast burn, hydro cannon, and frenzy plant, and the other will teach grass pledge, fire pledge, and water pledge. All 6 of these moves suck copious amounts of ass, and you should never use them, whether it's in-game or competitively. The pledges could have been useful had they come a bit earlier, but right now, if you somehow still use your starter at this point, they're probably going to have much better moves anyway. So this one teaches the so-called ultimate moves. Yeah, my ass. The Pokemon with you can't learn these moves, that's right, because the starters need to be fully evolved in order to be able to learn the elemental hyper beams in the first place, which isn't the case for the pledge moves. The pledge moves are weak moves, but if you combine them in doubles or triples, you can create some interesting field effects, but unfortunately, even they're far too weak, and their distribution is far too pathetic to do anything of note. So, I don't know, maybe they should just buff these things, because right now it's just so much wasted potential. I remembered Korokoro talking about it once before Black and White 1 came out, and it sounded pretty awesome until the games came out and we realized, wow, these moves are crap. So, this guy here gave me the Rocky Helmet, which is basically the abilities Iron Thorns and also, what was the other one? Rough Skin in item form. So, I think this is the last guy that we can talk to, so I'm going to head back inside and talk to the NPCs. Now, this first participation at the Pokemon World Tournament is basically a hands-on tutorial, and there are a few things that are different from typical Driftvale tournaments. The most important thing is that usually, as this clerk here sells the same TMs as the ones in the gear station, and there's probably another clerk on the other side of the room that sells the same thing as the same things as the other clerks from the gear station. But yeah, you can also earn BP here, as well as the Battle Subway, so the Battle Subway isn't the only source of BP anymore. But yeah, I was talking, as here's the other clerk, I was talking about the differences between this tutorial and usual Driftvale tournaments. Usually in Driftvale tournaments, your levels are brought back down to 25. Here, it's going to be the case for your opponents, but not for you, meaning that I have level 38 Pokemon, they will remain level 38, and they will be fighting nothing but level 25 Pokemon in there. Of course, you don't get a free switch when you kill something, and you don't gain any experience from this tutorial either, so I guess that's the only major difference, is the fact that you get to keep your levels just for this one attempt. Sorry about that at the Driftvale tournament. So yeah, as I said before, the cold storage used to be here 2 years ago. That must have taken so much effort to take all that down and build this entire thing in just 2 years. That would not happen in Quebec, let me tell you that. Holy crap, It takes decades just to build a freaking hospital, so imagine an undertaking of this magnitude. So, apparently there are a lot of people in the audience. Of course, this clerk here will not do anything because you don't have access to any kind of special tournaments yet. Yet you can only participate in the Drift Veil tournament. So let's ask this one about battle formats. You can do singles, doubles, triples, and rotation. However, the tutorial will always be single battles. So, of course, the amount of Pokemon required varies depending on which type of battle you play. Triple battles and rotation battles give more BP for two reasons, I think. One is that they want to promote these new types of battling, at least new to Gen 5, that is. And two, because these battles probably take a good bit longer as well, so farming BP through triples and rotations wouldn't be as useful if it was just the usual amount. So, let's participate in the Drift Veil tournament. I've already explained all the rules to you. So let's pick our Pokemon. Excadrill goes first because it's a lot more versatile than Lilligant, and Pignite goes third because I don't have anything better at the moment. I imagine that they thought I would have 3 team members by this point, but that is not the case. So let's head into the Pokemon World Tournament. Very simple. It's a single elimination tournament, 3 rounds. Whoever makes it all the way to the finals and wins the tournament. And our first battle, always going to be against Hugh. This tutorial is completely scripted, aside from the outcome of the battles, of course. But you will always face the same opponents in the same order. First is going to be Hugh, second is going to be Sharon, and third is going to be Colress. So, Hugh is being distracted by his search for the lost Purloin, and I can't imagine him being too happy about that. But anyway, it's the usual thing for battle facilities. Your opponent will have a little introduction, and let's battle! Of course, it's not like your typical Drift Veil tournament, because as I said, I get to keep my levels while nobody else does, which is kind of cheap. Duod versus Excadrill, not a very good matchup, but Earthquake should still be more than enough to take it down. And I was absolutely right. So, Simisage now. My strongest move against it is probably Earthquake, so I'm just going to hope that Excadrill's brute strength and level advantage takes it down, which wasn't the case, but Simisage doesn't take this opportunity to deal some damage. Instead, decides to use Leer, so Slash will be good for finishing it off, and the final Pokemon will be Tranquil, of course, which means that you got a Rock Slide with your name on it, or maybe not, because as with all Tranquils, this one just loves to spam D-Tech. At least it didn't use it 2 times in a row. So down goes Tranquil, and that was a quick fight. Perfect battle. Talk about complete and utter humiliation. Didn't take any damage. Of course, I took a Leer, but didn't take any damage. That's the important thing. Of course, you get healed between each fight, which makes a lot of sense considering that's how the way it usually is at battle facilities. Well, most of them, anyway. There are a few in Gens 3 and 4 that don't do that. But, anyway, what a suspenseful match! Did they really see the same match that I did? The only thing it got in was a Leer. Otherwise, it was absolute and total murder. So, Sharon made it through, Colress made it through, and some nameless female trainer made it through. Well, not nameless, literally, but whatever. She's just some random trainer who's cannon fodder for Colress anyway. So, going to be fighting Sharon for the first time since almost the beginning of the game. Last time he had a Patrat and a Lillipup, but let me tell you, he improved a lot since then. Too bad his levels are still forced to be 25, but otherwise, he's got a much more decent team.